Welcome to Faces and Aces in Las Vegas, a podcast where we share great Vegas stories and talk to the people who make Vegas a fantastic place to visit. My name is Chris. This week we have a special episode. We spend some time hanging out with a returning guest, Heather. You might remember Heather from episode 17 of Faces and Aces. She runs Vegas-Aces.com, the world's first online dealing school. We had such a positive response from her previous visit, and a few people had asked, can you please have her back on the show sooner rather than later? So we aim to please, so we have Heather on this episode. Now, typically we find a great story, and we pair that with a great interview. But since Heather pretty much has both great stories and great information, we're going to forego the What Happened in Vegas story time and just get straight into a conversation with Heather. So please enjoy an extended conversation with Heather from Vegas-Aces.com. Okay, hey, how's it going?
Hi, how are you? Thanks for having me back.
Thank you for coming on again. I appreciate it so much. This time we're over at The Beat on Fremont Street, The Beat Coffee House, and they were super nice to let us use the space. Normally we record over at the Inspire Cafe. However, they're closed on Sundays, which I didn't find out till I got here.
Yeah, until we were trying to open the door, and it's like, why isn't this opening?
Yeah. So The Beat was so very nice to let us use their upstairs space for this recording. So please, if you're in downtown Las Vegas, come on by, get some coffee or some great sandwiches or whatnot. Yeah, there's a recording studio, an actual legit recording studio down the hallway, so you might hear a little bit of noise coming out of there as people come and go from there. And we're back with Heather.
Yes.
Yeah, back by popular demand. The response for Heather was just so great when she came on and told her stories and her card dealing stories, not drug dealing.
Although when I do go to if I go to a different state that's not Nevada and everyone's like, oh, what do you do for a living? Oh, I'm a dealer.
Well, can you hook me up?
You deal drugs? Like, really? They believe, I mean, I've had a couple people ask me, well, can you hook me up with some heroin or something? I'm like, no. Are you kidding me? I don't do that stuff. It's like, no, a casino dealer, not a dealer, a casino dealer. Or another thing, if I go out of state and I'm like, oh, I'm from Las Vegas, I swear to God, what hotel do you live in?
What is that?
I don't know, but I'm like, seriously?
What? Because you're not the first person who said that to me.
Yeah.
When you go to Disneyland, you don't assume that the person in the suit is actually Mickey Mouse and living in the castle, right?
Yeah, exactly. And they just to ask, what hotel do you live at? You realize that people don't technically live in hotels. I mean, there are a few hotels that have condos, but for the most part, we all live in houses and apartments and condos like everyone else. I mean, there's a whole city. It's not just the strip,
With
right?
the exception of George Wallace. He lives in a hotel.
Actually, I have to say this.
Yeah.
So I have a friend who has another friend who's a millionaire. And the millionaire owns a condo at the MGM, one of the signature suites. And the condo is $100,000 for the condo. And it's a one-bedroom, almost as big as like a hotel room, not really that big. I don't even think it has a washer and dryer. And the homeowners association is $2,000 a month to live at the MGM. And I mean, okay. He's nice and he lets me use it whenever I want. So I could go to the MGM pool when I want, or if I want to like stay on the strip, but I don't want to pay for a room, I could stay there kind of a thing. Mm-hmm. This just happened recently. This just happened in the past like month or two. So I was actually surprised because I'm like, oh, you mean people do live in hotels? Oh, okay. I guess I was wrong. But yeah, so some hotels do have some condos, and I know that's how much MGM charges for one of their condos. So
I just got done chastising everybody for making that assumption.
Yeah,
and here like, you are.
By the way, well, I just found this out 2 months ago. So don't beat yourself up over it. I just found out about it.
Okay. Let's not assume that anyone who's listening to this has heard the first appearance that we had on this show. So let's refresh them really quick on Vegas-Aces.com. And for those who have heard this before, please bear with us because it's definitely worth repeating.
So Vegas-Aces.com is the world's first free dealing trade school. We teach people how to play and how to deal casino table games, and we help people get a job as dealers. So that way they don't have to pay to go to school. They could just get a job. We have a lot of stuff on there. We have flashcards, instruction manuals, how-to guides, a lot of stuff. And I just basically do everything that I can to help people learn how to play and deal table games.
Yeah. And it's based on the fact that you don't necessarily have to go to dealer school here in Las Vegas to get a job as a dealer. They will train you, and your videos at your website help prepare them for the interview to get a job at a casino.
Yes, you don't need to go to the school. A lot of people think you do, and what you actually need to do is just go to a break-in house. For example, the Gold Coast downtown casinos such as the El Cortez, the D, and you have to have an audition where you deal on a live game, and if you pass the audition, you get hired. But a lot of people don't know that they're not hiring you for your dealing skills. They don't care about your dealing skills. They care about your personality. Can you talk to people? Can you keep people on the table? Are you friendly? Are you inviting? They look at you as a whole, as a core, as a personality, not, oh, she can deal blackjack or whatever, because everyone can deal blackjack. And if you can't, they can teach you.
Right. Personality and also attractiveness.
Yes, that's true. If you have big boobs, you're guaranteed a job.
I got huge boobs. So I'm the shoo-in.
We're going to get you in the pool here dealing, right?
Nice. Because I saw an ad recently that the D was hiring new dealers. And the misconception is that, I want to get a job as a dealer, I should go to a dealing school. Not necessary.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Not
and
necessary.
People don't realize that, but they spend $1,000 of money that they don't even have to try to get a job to sustain themselves when all they really need to do is just practice at home and then go do the audition, and then they're hired, and they just don't realize it. So I'm trying to raise awareness so more people can get hired in the industry without having to pay money that they might not otherwise have.
Yeah, or for that matter, spend money that they don't need to spend, or get scammed by a dealing school. And many times they're teaching bad habits that the casino will actually make you unlearn and then relearn the proper way.
Exactly. So it's really not worth it.
Yeah. Well, the way that you figure into this whole equation is, let's say you want to get a job as a dealer. Like we said, you don't have to go to the school, but some kind of working knowledge, insider information, how to present yourself at that interview. Those are things that they can learn at your website.
Yes, exactly.
And you give that information away for free because you want to help people find work.
Exactly. If they don't have the money to go to school, then how would they have it's just, the information needs to be free. Education needs to be free. It's ridiculous how much money we charge for education, especially really shitty education. Yeah. It's ridiculous. And I don't like that, so I just want to give my stuff away for free and provide a good education.
Yeah, which is why you're awesome.
Thanks.
Yeah. So you got other great stories from your time as a dealer that you wanted to, I feel like this is going to be a part 2, part 3, part 4. Like, what other crazy stuff has happened to you when you were a dealer at the casinos?
Well, when you're working in a casino, even though you're working, say, as a blackjack dealer and doing the same thing every single day, dealing on the blackjack game, every single day is different. Every single day you see stuff that you've never thought you would see before. You hear stuff, you witness stuff, and it's just insane. It's insane what you see. For example, when I was working at the Rio, the Palms has this sleepover party. At the sleepover party, the women who go to the party are dressed up in lingerie, all lingerie, really sexy, revealing, scene lingerie. But after the party, they got to go do something, right? So they go to nearby hotels. So they would walk to the Rio, and they would be a group of girls in their lingerie walking around the casino. And my floorman, he's like, okay, I have to go over here. I have to do my job. But if you see one of those groups of girls walking by, I want you to call over floor and tag, wave me off. And then I'm going to go over there, and we can go and we can watch the girls as they walk by. by. And I'm like, that sounds freaking awesome. So I had a group of guys at my table. We would watch for the girls. A group of girls would come by. I'd be like, hey, Floor. He would come over, and all of us, like every single one of us, would sit there and stare with our eyes out and our tongues hanging out like, ooh, pretty, as they walk by. Yeah. And then as soon as they're gone, okay, back to the game, dealing blackjack like normal, you know. Okay, I'm going to go off and do my job as normal. So that was a lot of fun. And then you see other stuff like, again, at the Rio, I was positioned right in front of one of the clubs, the nightclubs that they have. And there was one of the nightclub girls. They're all dressed the same. They all look the same. I was one of them. I guess she drank too much, so she couldn't stand up. And one of the security guards had to bring her a wheelchair so she could sit down in the wheelchair because she couldn't stand up. And she had one of her friends who was nice and was staying with her and making sure she's okay. And, you know, they're sort of conversing back and forth, and the security guard's behind them and they're waiting for something. And I was on a dead table, so I was bored and I was watching them. And I don't know what the girl who was standing up said to the girl in the wheelchair, but all of a sudden the girl in the wheelchair starts strangling her friend, like all out strangling, I'm going to kill you rage. Whoa. Yeah. And the security guard wasn't expecting it. He's looking off in the distance, daydreaming. And all of a sudden he's like, holy crap, I got these two girls fighting in front of me, and he had to break it up and everything.
How do you do that?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It comes to mind. I know how to, if a Rottweiler attacks another dog.
Just pull them apart.
No, you're supposed to stick your thumb up their butt.
Are you serious?
Because the Rottweiler will find it so shocking, they're going to, their mouth just opens up.
I would find it shocking too.
So that's why I was thinking, I don't know if you do that. I don't know if the security guard does that in that situation.
Well, they're pretty girls. I don't see why he wouldn't want to. I mean, I'm sure maybe he was thinking something along those lines beforehand. And the thing about when pretty girls fight is their short skirts go up. Yeah. They're little, like, they don't really have anything covering their boobs either, so they come out. Yeah. So it's always fun to watch that kind of thing, you know?
Yeah, which is the other part I wanted to get to. Last time we were talking, you said, okay, I have a story about this, I have naked story, and I have that. And I was like, ooh, naked story. But somehow we ended up on a different story.
Oh, yeah. I have so many stories that sometimes it's like, I think of something, and then, oh, that reminds me of this story. Oh, that reminds me of that. Yeah, I could just go on.
But I'm determined to get that naked story.
The Palms one was one of the naked stories. Yeah. One day at the Golden Nugget, I was sitting there dealing, and this woman comes in, and she's just has no top on. She's completely bare, boobs out, hanging out. I mean, you could see everything, titties and all. Yeah. And no one does anything. No one bats an eye. No one really does a double take. We all look up. Oh, naked woman walking by. Okay. Continue dealing. Okay, no problem. You know. Oh, I have another naked story, but I probably shouldn't say it because it's with a celebrity. Oh. And I don't know if I should.
Don't say anything that'll make you feel uncomfortable. You can tell me later.
Okay, I'll tell you it later because it's a good one. I don't think I should name the person who was there. It was one of those celebrity women that are really young and really
Britney.
Not Britney Spears, but it was not Britney Spears. It was someone else, but you have about the same line of thinking. Okay. So it was one of those chicks. And this was at the Hard Rock, and she was there for her sister's 21st birthday party. And she's completely wasted. I mean, just totally wasted. And she trips and falls flat on her face. Yeah. Skirt goes over her head. She has no underwear on at all. And she's so drunk, she can't get herself back up. So I'm walking to break, and I'm looking over at the security guards, and they're not helping her. They're not doing anything. They're standing there like they should be standing there looking around, just not helping her at all. And she's on the ground, and she's yelling and screaming and throwing her arms around and making this big old fuss and everything. And finally, you know, a group of people, like...
Her people.
It was a group of onlookers that were looking at the scene she was making. So out of those group of onlookers, one of the a cocktail waitress comes over and helps her up. And she's like, don't touch me. You just want to touch a celebrity. Get away from me. You know, just going off on this chick. And I look over at the security guard and I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? And he's like, no, this is nothing. This is nothing at all. There was a security guard that actually got fired because he helped her up when she did this. We're just supposed to stand here, watch, make sure she's not hurt. We're not supposed to touch her, talk to her, you know, do anything like that. We're just here to make sure she's not hurt. So that's why they weren't helping her up.
Yeah, you would think Marie Osmond would have her shit together.
It was not her, yeah. But yeah. It's like, was it Carrot Top? Right? Oh, I met Carrot Top.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Cool guy?
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
very nice.
I've heard he's super nice.
Oh, he is so cool. Yeah. I was going to UNLV. I had to run to Walgreens across the street to pick up some paperwork or paper for the class. Mm-hmm. And I'm going in and he's coming out. And he's in a rush and he's really late. And he has this huge doll, a lion doll underneath his arm. And it's like he just went in there to buy the doll. It was like one of his props. And then he's running back out. And he was really late. And I'm like, oh my God, you're Carrot Top. I love you so much. Just freaking out. And he's like, oh, thank you. I love you too. I love, you know, like he does a little bouncy thing like I was doing. And he's like, I love you too, but I can't stay here and talk to you because I'm really late, but give me a hug. Okay, thank you. Bye. And then he runs off. And I'm like, I love you even more.
You know, you had the perfect Carrot Top run-in experience. He had a silly prop with him. And yeah, that's awesome.
It was so cool.
And plus the dude is just ripped, right?
Oh my God, yes. But yeah.
Okay, so who in town is known for being good people? Like Carrot Top sounds like good people. Who has that reputation here in town for just being sweet?
Carrot Top is very good. Matt Franco has a very good reputation. He's very nice. Have you ever heard of Tony and Tina's Wedding?
Yeah.
One of my good friends used to be Tina in there.
Cool.
She is a sweetheart. She is such a doll. I love her so much. She's amazing. Teller from Penn and Teller is I heard, a very awesome guy. Some of the, well, there's Las Vegas is a UFC based area. There's a couple of the UFC fighters that are just sweethearts, you know. One of the girls that's a sweetheart, I'm probably totally butchering her name, is Misha Tate. Oh, she's a doll. She's awesome. What's really fun is because Las Vegas has a lot of famous people here doing shows. They also have, houses and they live here. The funnest part about living in Las Vegas is Halloween, because you go to the celebrities' houses for Halloween and they give away awesome freaking candy, like huge king size bars and huge, just freaking awesome. That's when it's Halloween, sometimes, the locals here will be like, oh, well, I went to, when Michael Jackson was alive, I went to Michael Jackson's house and he gave away this kind of candy and it was huge and it was a lot. And, that's a lot of fun. Yeah. Yeah.
Also, to just tag what you were saying about Teller being a nice guy, Penn and Teller, after their show, if you go see their show, they hang out afterwards and do a meet and greet with everybody.
That's nice, isn't it?
So as you're exiting the theater, Penn and Teller come around to one of the exit points and they'll stop and you could say hi, shake their hand, and
Yeah, it's really awesome. Some of them are really good.
Yeah, or at least I'm pretty sure they still do that. I know the last time I heard they do that at the end of every show.
There might be one or two shows where they actually make them do that. Like it's part of their job kind of a thing. Well, yeah, I knew Thunder from Down Under is one of those shows. I went there. That was fun. But yeah, that was the first thing that I thought of. Like, that was a good show. And they met us afterwards and we got nice pictures.
Is Thunder from Down Under naked? Like full nude?
It's not full nude. It's, I think the worst they do is like Speedos. Okay. Then that's the most.
The best they do is Speedo.
yeah, the best they do. And it was me and a group of girls. So it was like, ooh, that's nice. Yeah. But yeah, so they have Thunder from Down Under, and there's one other one that caters specifically to women. And then I think the other ones are just all like naked women for guys kind of a thing, So,
is there, aside from Puppetry of the Penis, is there a naked male review in Vegas that you know of?
I don't. I'm sorry.
Just curious.
Yeah.
I'm asking for a friend.
Right? Yeah. Sure.
My buddy Matt from the Mr. BS show wants to know.
Oh, he's going to like that when he hears this. He's going to be like, wait, what? I do? Really? Oh, that's great.
So, which part, do you want to say thanks to those guys?
Oh, yes, definitely. Oh, my God, yeah. Steve Knight and Matt from the BS show are so nice and so freaking awesome. I was their 700 follower on Twitter, and they actually sent me a gift for it, and I was not expecting it. And it was one of those cute little beanie doll, and I got it in the mail, and I'm like, oh my God, I love this. This is so awesome.
And don't forget Ryan Danger Bunnell. He's also part of that team.
Okay, cool.
His
Ryan.
middle name is Danger.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Very cool.
So let's see. Were there any other?
I got cheating stuff.
You got cheating stuff?
Yeah, I have. There's a lot of counterfeit money that people try to go to the casinos and wash. I guess you call it wash. I'm not sure the lingo or anything. Laundering. Yeah, that's it. They launder it. At the Gold Coast, they used to make these fake checks. There was 2 people that used to make these fake bogus checks, and they had gone away with it for like 2-3 times before that. But the morons are like, oh, well, it worked the last 3 times. Let's just keep doing it. You know, they're not going to know. Well, of course they're going to know. They're going to try to get the money from the checks, and they're going to be like, well, who, get the cameras, find out who did it. So anyway, so they come in again thinking that they could scam the casino again, giving them this fake checks, and they were ready for them. So as soon as they saw them, they're like, okay, we recognize these people. She alerts security. I guess they have like a button or something that they press, and security comes. And she was trying to stall to keep them there. And security comes, and as soon as they see security, they bolt. They run from the cage out the door, and they have to pass the pit on the way out. So I was at one of the blackjack tables, and these people are running, like just gunning it for the door. And you see like 4 security guards running after them. And apparently they tackled the people in the parking lot, and then were able to call the cops and get them arrested for counterfeit. But that's one. And then another one was I was on a roulette table, and this guy comes up to the table and gives me $40. But the two $20 bills were really green. Like it's just an off green, just a weird color. And it wasn't cropped right. It was like not even straight. It was diagonal. And I'm like, oh, okay, sure. Thank you. And I set this money aside. I didn't put it in the Dropbox or anything. I just put it to the side, and I gave him the chips, and I'm like, okay, here you go. Go and play. And then when the floorman comes over, I'm like, hey, you want to, take a look at these bills? He's like, okay. So he takes the money, goes over to our, manager at the time, and she checks them out and looks at it, and oh yeah, they're definitely counterfeit. So she comes back, and security had like already sort of circled the guy, I guess. Mm-hmm. And she comes back, and she is holding the bills, and she's like, well, I checked this money, and it's definitely counterfeit. And the guy gets all freaked out. He starts like sweating and looking really nervous and looking around, and he tries to pick up his roulette chips and bolt. But I'm like, sir, you can't take the chips from the table. They're worthless if you take them from the table. I have to color them up.
Well, the roulette chips.
Yeah, they're roulette chips.
Yeah, they're not the typical casino chips. They're just a color with no denomination.
Exactly. If you take them, you're not going to get anything for that. Yeah. And so he was sort of torn. You could see it in his face. Like, I got to run, but I want my money,
$40.
I know. So he's like, oh, okay, sure. And he gives me the chips, and I am slow when I'm cashing them in. Like, I'm just going really slow and everything, making sure everyone's doing what they need to do before, So I give him the money, and he's like,
let me count the roulette chips.
1, 2. Yeah. Oh, I missed one. I have to start over counting, right? And so he finally gets his money and tries to bolt, and all the security guards are there waiting for him. So they get him, and they, call the cops, and they ended up taking him away for, counterfeit. But that was freaking funny. Yeah. Yeah. People try to screw you all the time. I mean, they are constantly looking for ways to screw the casino/dealer over. when I was dealing on craps, those people are typically called strokers. That's the name. It's a stroker. And they look for really weak dealers and they try to take advantage of that weakness. So on craps, I had this guy come up and I was weak on craps. I was brand new. I just started learning how to deal craps. So my game wasn't very good. And the guy comes up to me and he's like, 60 on 6 and 8. And that's a common bet. You put 30 on 6, 30 on 8, 66 and 8. So, an 8 hits and he gets furious because I pay him the normal amount. I pay him what I should. And he's like, no, what the hell is this? I said 60 on 8. I didn't say 60 on 6 and 8. I said 60 on 8. He's just freaking going off. And I remember saying to him, no, I clearly heard you. And like I said, I was a weak dealer because what I should have done was I should have said the bet that he said. That's how I should have done it. But I didn't say that. So that was how I was being not a good dealer. And my floorman didn't hear it. So he gave it to the guy. And I was really pissed off about that because I was like, no, I know what I heard. But because I didn't call it, they gave it to the guy. So if anyone wants to deal craps, just remember to always call out your bets. Whatever bet you get, whatever bet someone gives you, always, always, always call it out. Always say it over again, call it out. That way you hear it, the other dealers hear it, and the floor hears it. And that helps you be a better dealer.
How much scrutiny do you get if it's an honest mistake? Do they automatically assume that the dealer is in cahoots?
No, they realize the dealers make mistakes. They understand that dealers make mistakes. So they don't really get upset if a dealer does make a mistake. They'll get upset if they make a mistake over and over and over and over again. Then they'll get mad about that. Or if it happens more than once, then they'll start looking and seeing, oh, hey, is this dealer in cahoots with the player? For example, one of the craps boxmen was friends with someone and they decided to cheat the casino. So he would be sitting in box at craps and his friend would come up, give him the counterfeit money. He would accept it. He knew it was counterfeit, but he would accept it and then give him the cash. And then the friend would play a hand or two and then go and cash it out of the cage. They did this. I think they got over 100,000 was what they said before the casinos finally figured out, what was going on. But that was, they have to worry about their dealers and the floorman cheating as well as the players. Okay, did I tell you last time about the race book?
No.
No? Okay. So what was this? Like in the 90s, I think, early 2000s, what they would do, and a lot of people don't know this, was on the race book, the horse racing, they actually had that on a loop. It was on a 24-hour loop. So it wasn't, some of those weren't real time. One of the guys figured it out. One of the players figured it out and he sat there for 24 hours recording everything. And then when the 24 hours hit and it started over again, he would bet and he would keep betting and he would win every single one because he had recorded all of them. And one of the players that was on my table went over there, sat down next to him and heard his story because that's what he told him, and then was betting with him and was making a lot of money with him. And then they figured it out and security came and escorted them away. But that's how I heard about it, is the guy who sat down with him came back to my table and told me all this. So that was another way of cheating. They think of some crazy ways to cheat. I mean, people are smart. Another cheating one was, again, it was from the dealers, but it was actually cheating. I guess it's not cheating. It's more like stealing. So the dealers have a tow committee, and the tow committee is a group of dealers that get together after work or before work, and they count the tips for the 24-hour period, and then they do all the math and paperwork that needs to be done to make sure all the dealers get their tips. One of those dealers who was on the tow committee, when they were mucking the chips, or in other words, picking up the chips, he would pick up a black one and pocket it, or pick up 2 black ones and pocket it. And he did this for years and years and years. I think it was like over a decade he did this. They finally found him because they ended up putting cameras in the tow committee room. Before they didn't have cameras. Why? I don't know. But they ended up putting cameras in there and caught him. And I was on the table dealing, and he ran out from the behind, the little behind the scenes area. He ran out from there, past my table, threw some stuff in the trash can that was next to me, and ran away. And the security went running after him. One of the security guards that wasn't chasing him went to the trash can to see what he threw in there, and he threw in some black chips in there because I guess that's what he had on him. And they found him out. They got him. I think he stole 500,000 or maybe $1 million total, I think it was. But they couldn't prosecute him. He got away with it. And the reason why he got away with it is because he wasn't stealing from the casino. The casino can't press charges against him because it wasn't against the casino, it was against the dealers. And you can't get 300 dealers to all press charges on this one guy. So he got away with it. However, he was blacklisted from Las Vegas. His name was put in the little black book and everything. So that was pretty much the only punishment he got, which I don't think is that bad of a punishment when you get away with like $1 million.
Yeah, that's fine. Just go to Atlantic City. Or,
yeah.
I mean, if you need to gamble, go to a local,
Or an Indian casino where they don't know who you are,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know anything about the esports craze that is currently going on here in Vegas?
Are you talking about Evo?
Evo.
Evo happens at Caesar's Palace, and it's basically where Street Fighter is, and you have all these fighting games, and you go and you do tournaments with the fighting games. And
kind of.
Okay.
There's the recent episode of Vegas Fanboy where he talks about where it's being dubbed as esports coming on the rise. Now, I'm not a gamer, so I can't speak well to this, but apparently video gaming competitions are happening more and more in Vegas.
Yeah, I know. I'm pretty sure I'm saying that right, Evo. I've been there like twice, and I know that happens for sure, and that's at the Caesar's Palace every year in the summer, I think in June, and it's a big fighting tournament, a lot of Street Fighter. I know they have some other fighting game like Virtual Fighter and other fighting games, but it's mainly Street Fighter, and that's where they have the big competition. I get all like geeky, and I bring my Street Fighter arcade stick, and I'm like, I just want to go to play Street Fighter. I don't want to really compete. I just want to play people on Street Fighter. So yeah, I sort of geek out on that.
That's cool.
Yeah.
What's your favorite, like, of all the places? Because
I'm
always asking locals, what are the cool places off strip to go? I'm going to flip it around. What are the cool places on the strip that you as a local appreciate?
I can't think of anything, because with restaurants, it's so hard for me to find a restaurant because of my celiac disease that I don't go to most of the restaurants. And then if I do go to a restaurant, it's just a normal restaurant. It's like, I love burgers. They have gluten-free buns, so I can go there,
That website, by the way, is glutenfreelasvegas.com.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, and it has all the restaurants on the strip that have gluten-free options.
Offerings, yeah. And the people on the strip, they're more likely to cater to allergies and whatnot than most places, most restaurants. So at least if you have an allergy and you go to somewhere on the strip, it's you're likely to find a place that will cater to your allergy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I'm not thinking of restaurants. The MGM pool is freaking awesome. I'm in love with the MGM pool right now. Oh, I really like nature stuff. I'm not I'm not a city girl at heart, so I like nature stuff and going to parks and doing that kind of a thing. I don't know if you've ever heard of the Springs Preserve. I love them.
No, I haven't heard that one.
I love them. They're in my neighborhood, which is probably why I go a lot.
Yeah.
But they have a garden area that's all desert, and they have just gorgeous plants and flowers and everything. And then they have a butterfly exhibit where you could go into this like little house, and there's butterflies everywhere. Uh-huh. And then they have a museum there. They have a state museum, and then they have a water museum, and then they have a different museum, and they have a restaurant there. And I like to hang out there. That place is really cool. If someone's in town, I'll usually take them to there. I usually, when someone's here, I'll take them to Zipline downtown because I think that's a lot of fun. And it's amazing how many people are afraid of heights. They're like, no, it's too high. It's too high. I won't do it. I'm like, I will drag you up there. We are going to freaking do it. It's not that bad. It doesn't look that bad. It's a lot slower than you might think. And you're harnessed in there. I've never once heard anyone dying on there. And it's been around for years and years. Yeah. And that would be big news.
Yeah, no, I'm only laughing. I laughed when you said zip line, because recently there was a story about a guy who just unzipped and just peed all over the people passing beneath him.
That's awesome. Not awesome for the people who were peed on, but oh my freaking God, that's awesome.
I don't know how awesome that is.
It would be awesome if you weren't the one affected and you could sit there and record it on your video as he goes by pissing on everyone. Then it would be awesome. But if you were under there and one of the people who were pissed on, no, it's not awesome.
So awesome.
Not so awesome. Yeah. But you're in Las Vegas. It's like the stuff in Las Vegas, you don't expect it to happen. It'll probably happen. Oh, I wasn't expected to get rained on by pee, I wasn't expecting for that to happen.
Which, I mean, that's just kind of like common sense somewhat. Never walk directly beneath a zip line.
Yeah. That's hard for Fremont Street, too, because the zip line covers the entire Fremont Street from one end to the other. So
down the center of Fremont Street, though. Just walk the edges.
But then the edges, you have the homeless people peeing.
Not on Fremont Street. No. I'm talking about the canopy, like under there where the zip line is. Oh, okay.
When you're going on Fremont Street, the edges are normally where the homeless people hang out. Yeah. And they're usually the homeless people or they're the people who are begging for money or and then the people in the middle are the ones in costumes begging for money. Yeah.
What do you know about the underground city?
Like, what do you mean?
Oh, apparently there's a city, or in the sewer system, there's a community of homeless people who live down there.
Yeah, I know about that. That's in North Las Vegas. There's an area in North Las Vegas that has that, and it's you go down into the sewer, and it's set up, and they have like tents all over the place, and there shopping carts there, and it's basically like a little city in the sewer area that's under the city. Yeah, and so when it rains, like how it rained, we have flash floods. We have flash flooding really, really, really bad, and those people get flooded out of there. So you see them like, sort of scampering out of there with all of their stuff. And then they have to wait for the floods to stop so they could go back in. And that's where they live.
So I'm wondering, because I've heard about the stories about people who live in the sewers underneath the city. Your city is unique in that there is no state tax because the state makes enough money off of gambling revenue.
Well, the casinos pay our state tax for us.
Okay, right.
That's how it works. Right. So we don't pay our state tax because the casinos pay our state tax.
Right. Is that not enough money to take care of people? Like, are there homeless shelters? Are there services? Because it just seems very odd that a city be allowed to exist underneath the city.
I believe they make enough money, and the reason why I say that is because they're always, always, always doing either road construction or a beautification project is what they like to call it, which means they're going to do road construction for a year in a place that only has 2 lanes, and they're going to put flowers in there, or they're going to put statues of cactuses that look like I swear to God, those statues, they look like someone didn't know what they were doing, but they were friends with the mayor, and that's how they got the job. It's just like with all local government. It's just they're trying to do the best they can with what, they have, but I think they're focusing a little too much on making everything look pretty and not focusing on the underlying stuff.
They're focusing on different people because they need to make sure as a politician that certain people, certain unions get paid and paid well as opposed to doling out services to people who need it.
Yeah. And we don't
that's
really.
That's just how politics works because you need that block vote of the union. So if they're constantly working, they're happy, they're going to keep voting for you as opposed to, typically the homeless don't vote. So they don't really care.
And the unions, as far as unions go, it seems that they're always butting heads with the casinos. My perspective is the casinos have a ton of power, and they're the ones that sort of push the unions around. I'm thinking specifically of the Food and Beverage, Culinary Union.
Oh, that, yeah. Right,
yeah.
Right.
And another example would be the dealers tried to get a union, but we had so many union busting tactics from the casinos that it never really got going, and they sort of pushed that down. They didn't want that. Yeah, so the casinos have a lot of power.
But a union for the dealers should happen, I think.
It doesn't happen, and they don't want it to happen. For example, if you look at the Venetian, Adelson did everything he could to make the Venetian non-union. If you look at the Wynn is taking the dealer's toques and giving it to the floorman so they don't have to give the floorman a raise, therefore saving money themselves, and they don't want a union in there because they want to keep doing that, they want to get away with that kind of stuff. So why would you want a union a part of that?
That's the kind of statement where I feel like if I were an investigative journalist, I would are you willing to go on record for that?
Oh God, yeah.
That's insane. That's the first time I've ever heard that.
Which part?
The part where the corporations are taking the dealer's toques
and
giving them to the floor manager.
That's the first time you've heard that? Really?
Well, I mean, I don't live or work here.
It started in the middle of 2000 is when it started. And they've been in court for all that time. I think it's been almost a decade that they've been going to court. And it's one of those things where they they go to court, they get a decision, they have to appeal it, then they go to the second court, then they go to the higher court, and then the higher court tells them, we don't do this, you have to go to the labor secretary or the labor department, and the labor department's like, no, we don't do that, you have to go through the courts. And it's just been this big headache. And recently, they just came down with another decision talking about that, and they said it was illegal for Wynn to take the dealer's toques and give them to the floorman. So that was the most recent decision on that. And then I think he said he's going to appeal it again or something.
Wow.
Yeah, but it's a really big, really big controversy here. And that's the whole reason why the TWU was trying to get the dealers union going. Well, I know there's not much information out there on that. And that's part of the reason why I set up one of my pages on my website to talk about it. Yeah. I feel pretty bad because I haven't updated it in a long time, and I know I need to. But yeah, you can't find very much information about it out there.
Yeah, what other kind of cool stuff do you have on your website?
I thought a couple of nudity stories.
Nice!
Yeah. So Halloween.
Oh, wait, but before I go there, your website. We're about to talk a little bit more about Vegas.com. Naked. It's all naked with you. Nonstop. Nude. I get it.
I like it. I can't help it. I like looking at women. It's nice. No, I am not a lesbian.
Both, sister.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, no, I'm not a lesbian. No, I don't want to have sex with him. But God, I love looking at naked women. I can't help it. You know? It's like, ooh, pretty.
Yeah.
That kind of a thing.
Yeah. Let's end up strong. Let's close strong with a good news story.
The one that I had was, I have so many. The one that I was going to tell was, it was Halloween. And people think of some really interesting Halloween costumes to wear. This one lady comes into the Rio and she is wearing saran wrap as her Halloween costume, which means she took saran wrap, was completely naked, wrapped herself a couple times, and then walked out like that. And you could see everything. There was nothing covered. And that was her Halloween costume. And the funny part was she actually got away with walking around like that for about 30 minutes because all of the security guards were guys and they were like, oh, well, that's nice. We don't have to do anything with that right away. We could just sit here and look. We don't have to. And then one of the security guards that was a female finally found her and saw her and was like, oh my God, well, we're just going to bring you in. And all the guys are like, what? Why? She's not doing anything. Yeah.
She's not hurting anyone.
Yeah. We could just let her walk around like that. It's not a big deal.
She's dressed as a ghost. Come on.
Yeah, totally. So that was another news story. And then I don't know if you know this, but Las Vegas hosts the, I can't remember the entire name, but it's the Fetish Ball. Mm-hmm. And the Fetish Ball is basically a lot of porn stars wearing a lot of kinky stuff and leather and whips and I think 50 Shades of Grey kind of stuff. Right. And they like to walk around. So it's fun to watch them walk around dressed up in their get-ups and everything, Right. You'll have a guy, technically he's covered. But he's not wearing anything. And the only thing that's covering him is like a sock. And you know where that sock is. It's not on his feet. So, I mean, technically he's covered, I guess.
The sock puppet?
Well, his hands were busy with the two women on each side of him. But the fetish ball brings in a lot of interesting people, and you get a lot of good stories from that one. Or another thing is it's sort of like nudity / peeing, because, you know, you have to sort of be exposed when you're peeing.
Yeah.
But I was on a roulette table one day, and this guy was really wasted, so he had to go to the bathroom. But instead of just going to the bathroom, he took his beer bottle, put it on the ground, and tried to piss in it. But he was drunk, so he didn't get anything in the beer bottle. It was just all around the beer bottle. And there's one lady, I mean, it was crowded. There's one lady who was walking by, and he's like looking at her, and he pisses on her leg as she's walking by, and I don't even think she noticed.
Oh.
Yeah. So it's just the look on your face right now.
Yeah, I'm not into water sports.
Another
That's
thing.
just wrong.
Yeah. Another thing is with the cut card. When people have the cut card and they're going to cut the deck, well, they like to rub it on themselves beforehand. So you'll
Sure, I've
see
seen that.
you'll see the pretty women be like, oh, I'm rubbing it on my boobie and then I'll cut the card. Oh, yeah, well, that's nice because you're cute and all. But when the ugly guy is like, oh, I'm going to rub my penis with it and stick it under my, crotch. And oh my God, I swear to God, I had that happen. The ugliness part doesn't really matter, but he was sweaty. That part matters. And he takes the cut card and he puts it under his pants, in his pants, rubs it, and then cuts the deck. And I shit you not, 5 hours later, I had a whole group of different people on the same table. Cut card hadn't been washed. Girl wanted to kiss the freaking cut card every time she freaking put it in there. I'm like, you don't want to do that. She's like, no, it's lucky. You don't understand. I'm like, no, you don't understand. It's unlucky. You don't want to kiss that. It's not lucky. There's nothing lucky about kissing that.
You can't say, did you tell her you don't know where that card has been?
I couldn't tell her because she kissed it full on, full lips, smack dab.
First time is like, okay, you couldn't stop it.
I couldn't stop it. Yeah. And then she did it 2 more times and I'm like, just do me a favor and just don't kiss that, please. I couldn't tell her. I mean, I wanted to tell her, but I couldn't tell her because she had already kissed it, you know? And it's like, I had this guy on the table earlier and yeah, it just would not have gone well at all. I couldn't tell her. Yeah, I'm just like, please don't do that. And she's like, oh, you just want to ruin my fun. It's like, no, not really. Not really.
Just trying to keep you from getting some kind of tip.
Yeah, exactly.
Just looking out for you.
So people come to the casino and it's funny. They think that stuff is clean and it's not clean. It's disgusting. They never wash it and people put it in all sorts of places.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
I carry around one of those spray bottles of
yes, you need that.
Yeah.
Oh, God, yes. Me too. I have hand sanitizer too for that reason.
Yeah, which is just a good Vegas tip. Just because everyone's touching money and money's dirty.
Yep.
And then everything is tactile. Everything, you're pulling the slot arm or you're pushing the slot buttons.
And
you're playing with chips. And
you wouldn't believe how many people go to the bathroom and don't wash their hands.
About 90%, I would guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really disgusting. And they never freaking clean any of that. The only time that they clean chips is when someone spills beer or alcohol in there and they have to dry it off.
Yeah.
And then it's like you start off with a white rag and then it's black.
Mm.
It's disgusting. It's really gross.
I may do that today.
Don't kiss the cut card.
No. Not that. My shots are up to date, but it's I'm not willing to take that gamble. Like, take some chips and just take get a damp cloth and wipe them down and see what comes off. Just curiosity.
Yeah, you totally do that and it will be black.
Is there anything parting you want to tell me about your website?
I just finished a new series. So I just finished the 3-card poker series.
Yeah.
So if you want to learn how to play or deal 3-card poker, the full videos are up and ready to be watched. And they're very recent, the past week or two. Mm-hmm. So if anyone wants to learn 3-card poker, check it out.
Cool.
Yeah.
And where can they check it out?
Vegas-aces.com. And for Twitter, I believe it's Vegas_Aces. And for YouTube, it's The Vegas Aces.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
How often do you Periscope?
I try to do it a couple times a month, but I have trouble with periscoping and live broadcasting because it's always messed up. There's always something that's messed up, but I'm trying. So, yeah.
So thanks again for hanging out. Appreciate it so much. We'll have you back on again soon. More
Looking forward to
stories,
it.
More insight about the city.
Looking forward to it. I love being on here.
And that's going to do it for episode 23 of Faces and Aces of Las Vegas. We're always looking for great Vegas stories. If you have one to share, you can reach out to us via email, contact@facesandaceslv.com. You can find us over on Twitter @facesandaceslv. If you have a Vegas confession that you're dying to get off your chest, you can leave us a voicemail at 702-381-3657. If you're looking for a new sports podcast, geek podcast, movie podcast, news podcast, or whatever, check out the hashtag Podern Family on Twitter, and you're going to find a great podcast that you're going to like. As always, I thank you so much for listening to the show. And remember, what happens in Vegas ends up on the podcast.
You're still here. It's over. Go home.
Hampton dog owner Anne saved her Jack Russell's life by sticking her finger up the behind of a staffy dog who was attacking her 1-year-old dog Lexi.
Go.